Hello and welcome to the last word on Spurs. We are, of course, your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. It is job done for Spurs. They advance in the next round of the Carabao Cup with a 3-0 breeze against Doncaster Rovers and set up a potentially tricky tie away at Newcastle United in the next round of the Carabao Cup. Joined as always by three fabulous returning special guests back alongside me, refreshed, reheated from the sun and more. Richard Cracknell returns for a feast of fixtures lined up. Cracks, lovely to be back alongside me. How are you, firstly?
Refreshed and reheated, Rick. I like that. Popped in the microwave for 2 minutes. Make sure there's no metal on me. Ding, done. Back.
Ding!
All good, Rick. All good, all good. Nice to see you within half an hour of your start time tonight. Well done. I know you was on the phone to the club and being told what to say again this evening as always. So that Vinay gives you a call, doesn't he? Rick, make sure you tell them this, make sure you tell them that. Got to get your free ticket somewhere, ain't ya?
There you go. Cracks, let it slip. Love having him back alongside us. Also back on the
show. Oh, sorry,
is
this live? Sorry,
yeah, we got live about 5 minutes ago. I thought we went live about 5 minutes ago. Everyone saw what was going in the background. That was enough. Honestly, if you saw what happened in the background, you'd wish that was live rather than this. Also back on the show, never a dull moment. Mars from the Spurs Kings is back. Mars was going to tell us why the team lineup was going to be wrong, would he? For a full time in a row. Mars, how are you, mate? Lovely to see you back with us here.
I'm good. I'm you know what? Tonight, I can't complain. There's actually not much I can complain about, but I'm glad I'm back. I'm glad Spurs are in the next round. I probably feel like everyone else. Damn, it's Newcastle, but you never know.
I had no complaining until the bloody draw came out. That was my complaining. I was absolutely fine in terms of the game itself, and then we had the draw. Also back on the show, he needs no introduction. Listen, this is a man that's always going to keep us positive and on the high spirit. The Heart Man is back. Talking Tottenham are in the house. Half of them are at least. Heart Man, how are you, my man? Love to see you back alongside us.
I'm good, my man. I'm good. Hope everyone's well too. Listen, I'm not worried about that draw, I'm not going to let that phase me. Let's stay in a happy place. And trust me, we can do this. We can do Newcastle. I'm in good spirits. So, yeah, good vibes. We're here. Let's do it.
Mate, love to be back alongside us. Look, before we do get going, of course, obviously, if you can for us out there, keep liking, keep subscribing to Last Word on Spurs. That would be greatly appreciated. Let's bring you in, obviously, the match facts and the stats for Spurs. Like the guys have said there, a job well done by Thomas Frank's Tottenham. It took a little bit of Portuguese magic from Joao Palhinha to set Spurs on their way in this Carabao Cup journey as they east past League One side Doncaster with a 3-0 win. And as mentioned, Spurs will travel to Newcastle United in round 4 of the Carabao Cup. Let's bring you in those match facts and the stats from the game. Spurs 18 shots on goal to Doncaster's 10. Tottenham 5 shots on target to Doncaster's 2. Tottenham shots inside the box 12 to 7. Tottenham the busier of the side in terms of the recovery runs, 36 to 30. Clearance wise, 21 to 33. Doncaster, you'd imagine, as always, were going to be the busier of the two sides clearance-wise. And interception-wise, 12 interceptions for Doncaster to Tottenham's 11. Tottenham dominating the corner count once again under Frank. They had, like I say, 9 to 4. Tottenham edging the lion's share of possession, 55% to 45%. And XG Tottenham 1.78 to Doncaster's 0.92. I'll come to you, Cracks, if we can, just to start on your initial thoughts of the game itself, and then we'll come on to addressing the draw and feelings from that draw. Thoughts on the game. We saw, of course, Luca Williams-Barnett come onto the field, Cracks, quite late on. 900th in the legacy number for him, which is lovely for Luca Williams-Barnett. But the night has started beautifully by an incredible Joao Palhinha acrobatic overhead kick that did send us on our way. Thoughts on the game, thoughts on the result, Cracks, for you?
Well, the lad coming on looks like a young Stephen Mangan, doesn't he? A fellow Tottenham fan. He's listen. To start with him, he came on and he looked very assured, and nice to see some of the youth coming through the ranks. And he didn't look out of place, did he? Okay, I know it's Doncaster, etc., but he just showed some 1 or 2 in the 5 minutes he had, 1 or 2 clever, mature things. He could have gone in for a rash tackle on the edge of the box right and sort of about the 90th minute and just pulled back a little bit. So he just looked comfortable out there. He obviously put himself well about, lots of energy. So, and I'd rave reviews coming up through the ranks. So well done to him. Nice round 900 number on the legacy numbers as well. So brilliant. That's what you want to see from your club, isn't it? You want to see the youngsters coming through and doing that. So that brilliant. The game itself, this is always a tough round for any of the bigger teams, and playing especially at home against the teams from lower league opposition. There's potential there for banana skin, but you go out, do a professional job. You're never gonna be watching that one back on any Christmas DVDs that you might receive in your stocking this year. We were efficient. We got the job done. We never really looked in trouble at all in the game. Second half, it dropped off a little bit, but I think it always does because we was in cruise control. I think players just take their foot off the gas and control games rather than go out there and put teams like this to the sword. They're long old seasons. Struggled a couple of times with some of their tactics. Doncaster wore rugby shirts and it looked like they were playing rugby sometimes with the way we were getting pulled back and pulled about and a few kicks here and there. But job done, Rick. It's just one of those job done games. In fact, I think we got to 2-0 up and you kind of think to yourself, well, barring anything really stupid here, which you can't see is going to come under a Thomas Frank team. The mind tends to wander a little bit, and we had a corner and the commentator said there's jostling in the box where there's a bit of pushing and shoving, and I'm thinking straight away, because of my stupid brain, I'm thinking to myself, which jostling is that then? I reckon I'm trying to think of all the famous Jocelyn's that I know. The only one I could think of was Jocelyn Brown, and the next thing I know, I'm thinking, wonder if somebody's in the box and all of a sudden they've heard from behind them, I can't get off my horse, and you make me feel so real. Oh, what am I supposed
Gotta say, Richard Cracknell is back. This is what you've been missing. This is what we've been missing, right? Bring us the popcorn. Cracknell is back.
I've just killed the Hartman, sorry. But that's my stupid brain, isn't it?
I tell you, that it's a night where I know for many out there, we will come on to the Matisse Tell debate. I know there's a lot of people out there that obviously are looking at his performance, and we'll be discussing some of the players, those that did, those that didn't impress. But like Cracker said there, if we come over to you on this point, Dal, job done, right? I mean, it's one of those games where when you go into it, there's always an element of concern that, look, all these games still, there's an element of you don't want to be that team that does end up going on the back pages for all the wrong reasons, right? Because even though you're at home and, when you look at the two squads, there shouldn't even really be an element of doubt we're going to go through. But until you get that first goal, you always, as a Spurs fan, are a little bit worried, thinking, okay, once we got the second one, you could slowly start to relax and think, look, we're at home, should be in control. I think, like Crack said there, I think the problem was in the second half that there was a degree of cruise control about it, where I think, look, a lot of us would have wanted to go on and see them score 4, 5, and 6. But, again, we are coming into a crazy period now of so many games in so many days, which I'm going to bring on to the Newcastle game because that falls in between, a crazy, crazy period for Tottenham in terms of fixtures. So we are about that. We're going to come on to that shortly. But Dal, thoughts on the game, thoughts on the result for you, overall takeaways from your end?
You're absolutely right, Rick. It's one of those games where we don't want to lose it. It's simple as that. You just don't want to lose. And we've seen what happened to Man United. We've seen what's happened to sides of it over the years. And we see what happens to ourselves. And there were a lot of players rested. And when you start to do that, you put yourself at risk. But it's not got that fluidity. They don't play well together. It takes a bit of rhythm to build. But we got the early goal. Everyone could settle, could relax. We were 2-0 up very quickly. And then the game was very much comfortable. And that second half, being able to go into cruise control, that's a luxury as well. Because being able to do that and then still get a third shows that these players were able to manage the game well. Yes, there was moments where it got ugly. Crack's exactly right. We're not going to be watching it at Christmas to go, that's the highlight of our season. But the thing is, it's job done. That's what you want in these games. No one injured. Some performances that you can go, okay, he showed me a little bit of something. I got a little bit more from him. He got minutes in his legs. No one got injured. We made it through. And I think and players got to sit on the bench and not have to put their kit on. They didn't have to have a run out. We got to rest our centre backs. We got to have those moments to go, Vicario gets a break. Kudus gets a break. And I think we've got to take those things into the play today. It's not purely about the result. When you're in these early rounds of cups like this, the managers have got so many different things to work out. Everton tried it yesterday and it failed for them. A cup where they would want to win, they juggled around, mixed it up, form dipped, out they go. And I think that's why we've got to give the boys credit for seeing it through. We should beat Doncaster, and we did beat Doncaster. That's job done. Well done. Move on.
Dal, I agree with you. Spot on. Miles, let's bring you in. Again, I'll make that point. These games on paper, they look like they're an absolute given. We should go through. We did go through 3-0. It looks emphatic, but, there were times where it was anything but that. I know some of the takeaways would be the concern over players like Matisse Tell. And again, it was a big opportunity for Matisse, given that starting role, given the fact that he was playing down as the genuine number 9. There's an element of concern we'll come on to Tell shortly. And again, it was a big night for Archie Gray in there. Of course, Archie Gray getting first minutes really under Thomas Frank, given an opportunity. Of course, Danto also playing on the night for him, Kinski in goal. So there was opportunities for players to take a claim there. Maybe at this point, haven't really had a degree of a huge amount of minutes. Miles, what was your main takeaways from the result, the performance at home against Doncaster, which again ended 3-0 for Tottenham?
I think if you're looking at the first half and the way we started, the way the game went and everything, and that includes everybody in that pitch, Thomas Frank would probably say perfect. Absolutely perfect. We scored early. Every single player played well in their position, including Tell. I know there's going to be a lot about the chance he missed, but he was in those positions. Kinks and Doncaster made enough pressure on our defence to give Danso and Palhinha something to think about, and even Kinski with the save. So when you look at that first half, it was probably a perfect reflection of how, especially us fans, especially when you go in and you're thinking, please don't make this hard. Actually, everything just fell into place. And then that's when, in the second half, I do agree with Crackers. It kind of they were 2-0 up. They were like, okay, job done. And it was just pretty much at the present moment, I think the team knows if the team puts pressure on them, they can defend and see it out. And I think that's exactly what they kind of went for. They were like, well, we know what we're going to do. Let's just go with it. So I'm not going to sit there and complain. Second half, I think a bit of more of the performances could have been slightly. I think we started to see where people are complaining about Tell because he snatched 2 chances. It is what it is. But actually, when you think about Tell's performance, he actually, considering how he played against West Ham, at least he's there at the present moment, and he hasn't been playing. Brennan Johnson, I thought, actually played pretty well for him, and I'm not surprised he scored tonight because he's our top goal scorer, I believe, as well. So why is he not going to score? But he's going to be a lot better coming off the right than he is off the left. But Frank has said he can play on the left. But yeah, if you look at that first half performance, I don't have anything to complain about. I was sitting there thinking, even Archie Gray. But the problem is now with Archie Gray is that he's now fighting for a position with Sarr, Bergvall, and that's going to be a massive problem for him. So how many minutes is he going to see? Because when we've seen him as a number 6, he kind of fades out. But actually, and I said this, I think about a year ago when I was complaining that he shouldn't play in all those positions. He should be a number 8 because of the way he is good on the ball. And he showed that tonight. He actually did show he's better as an 8. And I thought he was actually better. He actually, against the Newcastle game where he was good in the friendly, he was better because he was more going forward than he had to sit back. So for me, perfect night. Everything went to plan and clean sheet. You have to just look at it. It was literally a perfect night. Yes, the game wasn't pretty, but how many games have been pretty for us for this season already? So you can see the team are starting to get to grips with Frank and what's going on. And I think Frank can clearly see now where people's best positions are. I think if we had striker fit tonight, I think Tell would have played off the left and Odell would have been rested. I think that's the only change that you probably would have made, and that's why we saw that change later. But I think Tell was knackered from the running he had to do up top.
Yep. Let's address then what was a perfect night until what many might have thought the draw happened and then the balls came out. We're not going to that kind of show, by the way. It's not that kind of show. Let's go to cracks on this point. In terms of the draw, obviously Spurs will be going away to Newcastle United. And obviously worth bearing in mind that Newcastle will be in the middle of, Newcastle will be in the middle of 3 in the 8 games that we've got, in the middle of 3 in 6 days for us, with Chelsea straight after. So just so everyone has an idea of this, Spurs have got a massive run of games between the 19th of October to the 8th of November, where Tottenham are going to play 7 games in 21 days. They're going to have Villa at home, Monaco away, Everton away. Then you've got Newcastle sandwiched in there away. Then you've got Chelsea at home, then Copenhagen at home, and then you've got Manchester United at home. So it's a crazy, crazy period for Tottenham in terms of where that game is going to end up. So, I mean, look, the kind of question you've got to ask, Cracks, is whether we have a strongest team at Newcastle for the Cup, or is it a case 3 days later versus Chelsea at home, that's your strongest team? Or can you play strong teams in both? I mean, where do you sit on that for you? This is a really tricky one, because I know fans like me and you, and all of us, to be fair, on this panel, we all want to see Tottenham advance in the Cups, right? We all want to see us advance in the Cup. But how do you get that balance right, Cracks, for you?
Well, as Marlon was saying, that tonight Gray played in the 8 role and looked really good. But with Bergvall there as well. But there you go. We've got it came nearly every other day. So you need a squad. So these players will get game time and we will rotate. But that's why you need a decent squad. That's why you need that second 11, which is now becoming a very, very quickly outdated way of thinking, where you used to have your first 11 and then that was it. You need squads now. It's as simple as that, especially if you're playing in the Champions League and, welcome to football at the top end, where you've got FA Cup, League Cup, Champions League or Europa League, and the Premier League itself. So there's no longer a first 11. There's squads, and that's what Thomas Frank's been brought in to find solutions for that. And over the next couple of windows, you kind of hope that gets strengthened yet again, and we don't make such horrendous buys as we have in the past. And away you go. So, I mean, I think it's quite obvious that they'll probably going to prioritise Chelsea in that. I think the Premier League always seems to get prioritised over the Cups. Right. But even if there's 1 or 2 changes for the Newcastle game, I mean, reading some of the comments and seeing some of the stuff on social media, we might as well not just bother going up there. Where's a bit of positivity? We've had a decent start to the season. We've got some decent players now that are in this squad that are coming in. I mean, even tonight, sometimes when you haven't got that first 11 playing, they can look like 11 strangers out there. But tonight, I was really impressed with the changes. Danso coming in, and we looked joined up. We looked connected. We looked like we had a plan and everybody knew their role. Sometimes in these games, it's like, what's he doing? Who's he passing to? It's like 11 strangers. But tonight, they looked like a comfortable team that knew how their roles and to play within a system. And that's got to be down to Thomas Frank and the coaches that have come in and drilled this in to the squad. When you get your chance and you come in, you will do this. So, look, I think we go to Newcastle with every chance because they don't look like the team of last season yet. Right. I think they are improving, but we've got every chance. And I said before that for Spurs to look like there's improvements coming, then going to places like St James's Park and getting results is where you see those improvements, because we have a terrible record there. But a little bit of positivity. If we go Newcastle and win that and then turn Chelsea over, wow. But be hopeful for it. Don't so many people are just like, oh well, it was fun while it lasted. If we all go up there with that attitude, we're right. Done for. You might as well just not bother going up there, to be honest. So come on, a little bit of positivity, because I like what I'm seeing from Thomas Frank and the team now. And we go up there a little bit of Bilbao vibes, you know, a little bit of Bilbao positivity going into this when there was that was going on. And do you know what? We're in it. We've got half a chance. We're a good side. So come on, get at it.
I love that, Cracks. No, I love that attitude. I think, you know what, it's just one of those, I think it might just be Spurs syndrome, right? Because, you know, you said it yourself there. We haven't got a great record there, Dow. And on that point, you know, I think I've always said this about these domestic cups. If you're going to win them, you are going to need to beat one of the big boys along the way. And whether people like it or not, Newcastle, you could argue, are one of those big boys now because they've won the competition. They're holders. You know, this is a side that did finish in the top 4 last season. I do agree with what Cracker said, though. I don't think Newcastle are as strong as what they were last season. But I do admire Eddie Howe as a manager. I think the way he handled the Isak situation was, you know, really, really admirable. I'd say that, you know, really handled that so well given the circumstances around it. How do you feel, Dow, about that draw? Do you share Cracker's optimism that despite the fact, again, I'll say that, the run Spurs have got in that period, just to be clear, for those that were unaware of what I just said there, 7 games in 21 days. So it's a massive run for Spurs between the 19th of October to the 8th of November. Is it doable, Hartman?
100% it's doable. Let's also remember, Newcastle have got to do exactly the same thing. They've got a schedule that is practically the same as ours. They've got Champions League to worry about. They've got league games thick and fast. They didn't want to draw us. I'm telling you right now, Newcastle fans did not want to see Tottenham come out for them because we look better than them right now. We're playing much better football. We've got much more harmony in our squad. They've lost what was one of the best strikers in the Premier League, and they're trying to find their shape right now. This game, the quicker it comes for us, the better. Because Newcastle are absolutely beatable right now. And this is the time to go to St. James's Park and get the win. And the way we get that win is by everybody supporting this, everyone believing in it. We can't go up to St. James's with our travelling fans going, we're going to lose. We can't sit at home, you can't travel and expect the loss. If we're going to be a big side, people, if we're going to be the Tottenham we want to be, we've got to believe in ourselves. We've got to say Newcastle should be bricking it that they drew us. We're the big boys here, if that's what we want to be. And it's the mentality shift. Right now, Newcastle were there to be beaten. And what we showed today, Crackers highlighted beautifully, that was a squad that had been now put into a different shape, different personnel, different 11. And they looked in harmony with each other. They understood Frank's plan. We have a plan. And that's what we're doing. We're showing we have a plan. We've got a lot of games in succession. This is where we're going to learn about Frank, the plan, and the squad. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I love it, Dazza. I love it. We do need that positive mental attitude.
100%.
It says a lot about the last 12 months. Like
Rick, even Eddie
Howe
was interviewed, I heard today, and he was saying, look, we're trying to find our feet and we're trying to find our shape and we're trying to see who's who and what's what with Isak going and the new strikers coming in. So he's publicly admitted at the moment they're struggling to find who they are and what they are. Versus Thomas Frank coming in and completely changing the philosophy and everybody looking like that they're on board from the get-go. So, as people have been saying in the comments, the quicker this game comes, the better, because we go there with knowing who we are, what we are, and our shape. If we can catch them whilst they're still learning about each other, every chance, game on.
Love it. Love the positive attitude. I think, you know, again, we have to bear that in mind that obviously before the Newcastle fixture coming over you, Miles, it will be Everton away. And as we said, it'll be followed by Chelsea at home. But could you imagine the confidence going into that Chelsea game? You know, I keep saying, people keep saying, I keep laughing about the fact that I'm being stopped. People telling me how happy I look. I keep saying to these people, look, let's just get past match week 10 against Chelsea. But I tell you what, if we knock out Newcastle before match week 10 against Chelsea, I'm bouncing into that game against Chelsea. I'm sure we all are, because then suddenly you're looking at thinking to yourselves, we might have a serious cup final on the horizon here. If we knock Newcastle out, depending, of course, we've got other games to come, don't get me wrong. This is where I'm getting excited again, so calm me down. Can I just say, if you saw my reaction when that draw happened and I called Jason McGovern, I threw the phone down in anger. I was fuming. I've come on here. I've heard Cracks and Art, man. I'm now positive. What's going on with me? I mean, Miles, where are you on that radar? Because I think
Hold
even
on.
in the green room, you were a little bit getting concerned. You was concerned.
Hold on. Let me get this straight. If we beat Everton and Newcastle, you're going into that Chelsea game confident, are you? I did hear that, right? Are you a Spurs fan? Is this a Spurs pod? What are you doing?
I just, you know what? I mean, the thing is, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. I think the confidence that would give this group, you know, bearing in mind, we beat a Man City away. We've gone away to Brighton. We've gone 2-0 down against Brighton. We've gone and got a result. If we go away to Newcastle, which again has been another difficult ground for us to go and get results in this last few years. I know we did them in a cup a few years ago, actually. You have to go back a number of years. Right? We did them in the cup a few years ago. But you have to remember, and Raj makes a great point, Newcastle also play 8 games in 25 days too. So they're in exactly the same predicament as us.
I get it, but Newcastle have home advantage, and I think that's the bit that
no one's getting away from that. Of course they are. That's the worry, of course. St James's Park is a massive worry. Of course it is.
And we go to Everton's new stadium, and at the moment, Everton at home seem to be doing okay as well. So we've kind of got to tackle 2 difficult grounds to go to in the space of 3-4 days. However, if I do agree with everyone, if there's a time or a place for us to be able to do it, it will be now under Frank. Frank will be the man. I can see it that if we're going to do anything and achieve anything, Frank can achieve it. And those games are not going to be difficult games because, as I said, as in today, that team knew in that second half they could deal with anything thrown at them. And this is what seems to be the case at the moment. Defensively, because we've been so scarred over the last how many years, with the defensive structure at the moment is working. Yes, it probably won't be Van der Ven and Romero, but we saw what Danso, and let's give like a big shout out to Palhinha tonight as well, because he actually went in. Yes, it was a bit shaky at the beginning, and we were all like, but actually it turned out once he got more comfortable and after he scored his goal, he was comfortable there. He looked like he'd been a centre back for years. But I know it's against Doncaster, but at least we've got to see it, and we'll see how that goes on. But he every time he got the ball, he was pulling it forward, so it just seemed to work. So look, I'll go into it as confident as the team will make me going up into that game. It is unfortunate it falls so later on in the month where we are going to be having some big games because, like, you know, we've got Copenhagen, Man United, then Arsenal as well. So it's a big run of games after that where he's going to have to manage this squad. So there probably could be a few changes as well that he's going to make. So, you know, it's going to be difficult no matter what. I'll be honest, out of all the big clubs that were left in the draw, I probably wanted Newcastle. If you gave me an away tie, it would probably be more Newcastle than having Arsenal.
I agree. I wouldn't want to go. I agree. I wouldn't want to go Arsenal.
I'll probably like City. I won't lie. I'm lying about City. City, I'll take.
Well, City, doesn't matter what team we seem to go with City at all. We always seem to get a result there. Jason does make a really good point here. Jason's put it out there that, you know, in relation to that week in general, I think they've got 3 games in 8 days. We've got 3 in 6. They have Fulham at home, West Ham away, and obviously we've got Everton away, Chelsea at home. So look, it's not going to be easy over that period. I think we all are aware it's not going to be easy, but it does feel that there's maybe that degree of confidence will be shifting. Oh, it will be a great game. Look, for the neutral, that's a cracking cup tie.
Yeah,
it's a cracking cup tie.
It's the biggest one. It's
the cup tie of the round, isn't it? It's the cup tie of the round.
Was it Wrexham Swansea or Wrexham Cardiff? I can't remember which one they got. But
that's got a riot. Remember that? That's got a riot. God, I tell you what, old Bill will be busy that night, Cracks, won't he? Old Bill will be busy that night, you reckon, Cracks? That's gonna be a night.
It's a Wrexham at home or away to Cardiff. Is it Cardiff that they got off? Pretty
we'll have to
sure.
Get that draw up.
But, if it is Cardiff, I went away there when we had them in the cup, drew there, and then beat them back in London. And
Wrexham are at home. Wrexham are at home to Cardiff.
Wrexham are at home. Yeah.
Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Can't wait for that episode.
Yeah. Not for the faint-hearted, Cardiff away. Let me tell you. Yeah.
When we said that we're the cup tie of the round, I mean, depending on what you want in terms of a cup tie, if you're looking at goals rather than action off the pitch, maybe you differ on that point. But look, I mean, definitely in terms of the other games that are in there. So Arsenal have got Brighton, Arsenal at home, Grimsby, Brentford, Swansea, Man City, us obviously away to Newcastle, Wrexham, Cardiff, Liverpool, Palace, Wolves, Chelsea, Wickham, Fulham. So all the big boys kept apart. I mean, we are going to be the draw of the round. There's no doubt about that in terms of the 2 Premier League sides. And how much it means to both. I mean, just very quickly before we do go for that break, we're going to bring in Thomas Frank. Who does it mean more to at this point? Newcastle are holders. We, of course, want to continue our cup run to some degree after winning the Europa League. I mean, Cracks, does one team want it more, or do you think both teams are going to want to go there and win it? I'm just intrigued to know what both teams will do on the night, because we were talking actually in the green room thinking, well, we can't rotate too crazy. Like, I can't imagine we're going to see the same 11 against Doncaster for Newcastle away. Would you agree? Would you expect to see, and Darren's also not away there, you expect to see a bit more of a stronger 11, Cracks? Marlon's also, you're not sure? What do you reckon?
I think we'll see Romero and VDV return.
Even though those 3 days later we're going to have Chelsea, you think, Cracks?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to know. But then Newcastle are going to have to rotate a little bit as well with it. So yeah, I think he will. I think he'll play those two at the back and try, go up there and try and get the result with it. I think a lot of it may depend on results leading up into it as well. So, there's games to be had in between then and now and then. So, look, Newcastle might pick up a couple of injuries here and there. Even we may do. So, who knows until it's upon us. But he's definitely going to have to go a bit stronger to go there rather than Doncaster, what we've done with Doncaster at home tonight. But then that shows you kind of how important Doncaster at home was tonight, because then it gives some of those squad players a chance to get a feel for each other and to play alongside of each other in a competitive game. So it will help further down the line as these players come in. But if you've got a good plan and a good system of plan and people know their jobs, then you should be able to swap like for like with not too much of a drop off in quality if you've got good quality players, one or a couple for each position. So let's see what they both do. But we've got to be confident. We have to be confident. Having said that, lose all three, Thomas Frank out. Come on.
That's what I love about this show. We're so balanced. We're so relaxed, aren't we? We don't get too carried away. Who's been doing this for the last 7-8 years? I tell you. Let's bring you in, Hartman, on that point. That week itself, like I say, big week for Spurs. Everton beforehand, like I said, of course, finishing that week with Chelsea. How will Frank play it for you in terms of that lineup for that one? Because, like we said, there's a lot of Spurs fans that want us to go fairly strong. Look, I want us to go strong as well. It's a cup competition. We'd all love another cup this season, wouldn't we? We'd all love another cup. So how does he get that balance right for you? You kind of nodding away there. You were thinking he will go a lot stronger than Doncaster. You think as well?
Because I think he's going to have to logically go, it's a stronger opposition. I think the thing that we can't foresee is who's going to be available. No, and I think that's going to be the big factor. But I think he's going to want to give himself the best chance to win the match. And I think that there are going to be a few elements there that he may go, do I take a risk of playing like a Palhinha centre half, or do I pair Danzo with one of the more regular players at centre half? There'll be interesting conversations to have. And I think you made an interesting point about who's going to want it more. I think Eddie Howe and Newcastle are holders, so they're gonna want to hold on to it again. That's absolutely going to be part of their modus operandi, and that's what they're going to be going for. But remember, we keep forgetting we're holders as well. We're the Europa League holders. We know how to win as well. So it's going to be a real battle. It's going to be a real cup time. I think they are going to come in, Newcastle, probably bookies' favourite because they're the holders. Is that their ground? But like I said in my previous statement, Newcastle did not want to draw Tottenham right now. And I think that's the thing that we need to remember. We're a big side and we've got a squad now that has got loads of elements that we haven't seen. Like we've got strikers that are not fit yet. We don't know who's going to be more.
That's right. You don't know where Solanke's going to be at that point.
You know what I mean?
You're not sure. Like I say,
looked at someone who needs the minutes at that point, and he's playing in that game, and he's fighting, and he's hungry. And suddenly we've got a whole different dimension up there. So honestly, I'm not afraid of this game. I'm not afraid of it at all.
Yeah, I think you made a really interesting point actually on that point. Though you said coming over to you, Miles, that you ideally would want this game to come sooner rather than later, just given the fact we don't really want Newcastle getting into a rhythm. The one point I think you made, Miles, was quite interesting, was around the fact we know that St James's Park crowd, it's a cup night. It's going to be a night game. These are, the nights where the fans going to really get behind the team. And we have seen really the way, look, they're passionate fans up there, right? They live and breathe their football. It's one of those grounds, I say it's similar to Anfield, where they do literally, push the ball into the opposition net. That is how powerful those fans can be. So that in itself is that going to be a key of it as well, managing the crowd, Miles, to some degree. If we can go up there, stifle the opposition, play our football, that could be really key, right?
Yeah, of course. It's always going to be an issue, no matter what we do this season. But what I think tonight, I look at tonight's. I just wanted to go into tonight's lineup a little bit. I think it was as strong as he could have gone. And when I say strong as could have gone, I don't think there'd be much change from this team to what we see at Newcastle.
Really? Interesting. Okay.
Because I think Palhinha comes out, and I think Dragoshin, if he's fit, will come in.
Right.
I think it'd be Porro or Spence, and I think Udogie will play left back. I think we'll see something quite similar to that. Okay. And then the midfield, will it be? And I think the question is, I think Hartman just said it. It'll be Palhinha or Bentancur. I think it will be one out of them, and then it will be Bergvall, Gray. And then it all depends on where Xavi is as a number 10 when we get to that game, and where we are as a squad, to whether it will be 3 central midfielders or he'll go Xavi. I think the biggest question will be if Mawani and Solanke are back, they're the ones that will come in. And I think Brendan Johnson will be on the right. But what you'll find is that the main team, there'll be a lot more experience on the bench, just in case it just does go all wrong. Because we've got to remember, we have got Everton a few days before, and we have got Chelsea. And what we've seen from Frank at the moment, especially with the games, he is rotating it as much as he can, and he's picking and choosing and knowing what formation. And for me, Danso might be more perfect to be against the Newcastle, because he's probably better in the air than Romero and Van de Ven are. So you just have to look at where we're going to be at the time and how he's going to look at it, and where Newcastle are going to be. Like we said, we don't even know what they're going to be like going into that game. Are they going to be strong? So, but like both teams have that to pick out. But look, it's not till like the end of October, beginning of November. So we've got, you don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who's going to change in this team. So at this present moment, if we went in this week, I'd going confident. I'm literally going confident. But until we get to that period, it's just a case of let's see what happens. Everyone just keeps their spirits up. And it could be, like you said, you've got to play these teams to get to win this competition. If you look at our run last year, where we had Man United, Manchester City, and then Liverpool, like we were that close. And that's the toughest run we probably have ever had in a cup competition. And that, the only time we looked at our worst was against Coventry. So
true. So true.
So it's like you just have to take it. And I'm just like, you know what? As the weeks go on, I think that's when we'll start getting a reflection of how we think this Newcastle game is going to go. But I think at the present moment,
you guys also make a great point. If we beat Newcastle, the confidence that would give the group, to go and knock out the holders would be absolutely massive, and something that you wouldn't want to underestimate going to the Chelsea game. I'm going to ask you a really tricky question, guys, as a kind of yes or no, or what's the bigger game of that week? Is it the Newcastle game? Is it the Chelsea game? Give me just one team. I will go around the panel on that before we go for our break. Sorry, guys. Cracks, what's the bigger game, Newcastle or Chelsea game that week?
The biggest game's always your next game, Rick. So
you politician,
But that's how it should be. Look, I think they're as big as each other. To be honest,
both of them are massive in different contexts.
Us as fans put so much stall into cup competitions, and we want to see Tottenham going to win some cups. We all want to feel like we did in Bilbao, and we hadn't won a cup for 17 years, and we'd love to go and see them win the League Cup. As a club, they will put more emphasis on the Chelsea game, because winning that and even finishing a couple of places higher up in the Premier League probably brings in more money into the coffers. And let's face it, that's what clubs really look at.
Who will put more emphasis, Cracks, on that point? Who's going to put more emphasis? You say the players, the club, or who are you referring to? Frank, who are you referring to on that? Just out of interest.
Well, I think Frank's brief is probably to not finish a lot higher than 17th that we did last year. So I think, our league league position is always going to be the key, and cups are a nice bonus. So, given that fact, probably the emphasis around the club will be on Chelsea as the more important game. But for me, I see him just as important as tonight. Even they are all important. So, look, it's not going to be easy at Newcastle. I could see that being a draw and going to penalties quite easily to see who goes through. That's a fairly realistic result that you could see, and then Chelsea. So, but these are two teams we've always struggled against. You get past the hurdle of those two. Wow, it's.
Tell you what, we get past the hurdle of those two. This show, I tell you, we'll have takeoff. honestly, it will be electric. We will be there. We will be there to see it. All right, Dal, what's your thoughts on that in terms of the bigger game of that week? And I know a lot of people saying they're all important games, right? There isn't a bigger game, but the reason why Spurs let go of Ange to bring in Thomas Frank was the fact we need to compete on all four fronts. So, is there an answer to that in terms of what is the bigger game out of those two?
Could you ask the question? I've got to find the answer. My answer would be is that, like Crack said, they're all important. However, I would look at it this way. The Newcastle game is important because you lose that game, you are out of a cup. The Chelsea game, it's a 38-game league. So that is going to be balanced out over the season, and you work out what that game meant at the end of the season. But you know what that Newcastle game means at the end of 90 minutes. Because at the end of 90 minutes, if you've lost that game, you are out of a cup, you can't win that competition anymore. So the priority is the game you're playing next. So Newcastle come before Chelsea. So for me, the most important game is going to be the Newcastle game because we lose it right at the cup and then we deal with Chelsea afterwards. That's my answer. Diplomatic, but with the focus that I would prioritize Newcastle.
Okay. Mars, to bring you in on that point. Is there a bigger game in that week for the club that say we have to compete on all four fronts?
Look, I always lose to Chelsea, so the bigger game for me is Newcastle. I can tell you. So, as we've all said, I'll be honest. I'm with Hartman and Crackers. That's totally where my head's at. But you've asked a horrible question, a real horrible question.
That's what I mean. I'm here to ask the horrible ones. I know Crackers don't like me asking. I've got to ask the horrible ones.
But if you're looking at the bigger picture of it, because we do lose to Chelsea we lost to Chelsea twice last year and still won a cup. The cup meant a lot more than losing to Chelsea.
I'm gonna tell you something, Miles. I think if we beat Newcastle, we aren't losing that Chelsea game. I think there'll be such a great atmosphere going in. You've just knocked out the holders of the League Cup.
Yeah, but the key is that Chelsea game where it all went wrong before.
Yeah, but listen, as Cracker said, we're changing mentality here. It's who we are now, mate. It's who we are now, mate.
Rick, can we not just go back to asking what everybody's favourite chocolate bar is? That was a lot easier question. Because at the moment, this is like, do you want an arm or a bollock cut off? Like asking this question, it's tough.
All right, let's all agree. Let's all agree. We smash Newcastle. We're going to beat Chelsea. It's going to be an amazing, electric October and November. We're going to squeeze in our first break of the show. For our listeners and audios, let's hear from the man who's got a mastermind those next 7-8 games in store. It's Thomas Frank, because his reaction to Spurs beating Doncaster by 3-0 and helping Spurs advance to the Carabao Cup fourth round, where Newcastle United await.
Congratulations, Thomas. What did you make of the performance tonight?
First and foremost, happy with the win, happy with the clean sheet, happy that we are through to the next round. That was the aim. I think the first half was good. Controlled the game, created the chances we wanted and needed. We could score more goals, I think, actually, first half. Got some big opportunities to both Matthew Still, Rodri, a few other situations that was dangerous. Second half was more disjointed. I think we threw the ball away too easy. I think the pressure was not top, but also praise to Doncaster. Came with very brave, very good to stretch us. If the pressure is not perfect, they made it difficult. So praise to them as well.
Joao Palhinha at the back today, but he comes up with an amazing goal. What did you make of him today?
Very happy. he's been very, very good for us since he joined us. Again, just stepping into that centre back role and played very well, and scored a very good goal. So yeah, pleased.
So ask you quickly about Pat Matasar not here today.
Yeah, Pat Matasar, just a minor precaution, a minor, how can you say, a little stretch to the thigh. So we just didn't want to take any risk today. There's a good chance that he could be ready for Saturday.
Hi Thomas. Like you said, Matthias Tau had a couple of chances he couldn't quite take. What did you make of his performance? And I guess how do you build up a player's confidence when they're maybe having a run like he is at the moment?
Yeah, but I don't think he has a bad run. If I'm honest, I think he played strike against West Ham, which I think he did quite well. Worked very hard for him to arrive in the right areas, which I think he did today. So I think in terms of performance, that was a step up. Then we can look at the end product to score the goal, but the performance to arriving in the box, I was very happy with. Just closed on the first ball under from Brennan, ready for the cutback second half. Got in there in the other two good situations, and had a nice shot. So I think it was a step up in terms of performance.
And on Archie Gray, you decided to play him in midfield rather than centre back. What did you make from his performance too?
I think we saw his running power. Very willing to run in behind. Very good when he have that drive with the ball and can go up the pitch. So I think it was a fine performance.
Hi Thomas. Just wanted to ask you about Matisse again, because you've spoken about how he can play on the left, he can play centrally, but I wonder if you could actually tell us what you think his main qualities are that he gives to the team.
I think you can see that his ability in this game to arrive in the box and the pace he got to both running behind and also getting into the right areas, I think is good. I think his pressing abilities is very good. I like the way he works in that situation. And then I think his link-up play is something that is a good level, but he can be even better at.
And then I just want to ask you about Luca Williams, Barnet making his debut as well.
Yeah, very happy with that. I think that was it's always a pleasure to be part of a young player's debut. Yeah, happy with that.
Thomas, you moved Palhinha into defence and obviously Archie in midfield. Last season we kind of saw the reverse almost. Are we sort of saying now that Archie's position midfield is that going to be that going forward? Is that your idea?
I think Archie can play centre back and right back, but I see him more as the midfielder. And I like to see him today in that position, and I was confident and I was happy that I was backed in that feeling about Joao Palhinha as a centre back.
Hi Thomas, just on Luca, he's only 16, but actually when you look at Max Dowman at Arsenal, Rio at Liverpool, it does feel like football's getting younger these days. Is that how it seems to you?
Yeah, I think there's definitely over the last many years the focus on the talent development and academies across the world is so big. So the talent pool is bigger. There's these talents coming through. They're younger and younger. But one thing is the debut when you're 16. The next step and much more important is how Luca or other players take those steps forward, where it's very tough to keep going and then get into the first team as a really regular player. But the first step is very important.
And just on Matisse, you talked about how you were impressed with the way he was getting into the box, just the end product. It looked like he really, really wanted it today, really wanted to score. Is it just a classic case of a striker who just needs one to go in off his backside?
Yeah, I think it's. I think that's fair to say that. Of course, he really wanted to score and do well. And unfortunately, as a striker, is that you get measured on. Exactly as a keeper, you need to get measured. You can't throw it into your own goal. So, but I think, as I said before, I think the overall performance was really a step forward. But of course, I really wanted him to score as well, because that'll just make it a much or even better story.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So there you go. That was Thomas Frank on the back of Spurs beating Doncaster by 3-0. Thank you as always for all incredible support for Last One on Spurs. It's a lively chat room for those that are watching the show live. We always love being live. There's always lively chats that are always happening. I'm joined by the wonderful returning Or he said he was fresh-faced, refreshed, ready to go again outside the box for season 8 of Last Word on Spurs. Richard Cracknell's in the house.
It's funny you should mention fresh-faced, because that seemed to be the discussion on
about
the
Thomas
YouTube
Frank.
channel about Thomas Frank and his facial skincare regime. So,
well, I think
I'm learning that beef tallow's good for wrinkles, apparently. So I'll give that a go. I don't know whether you supposed to eat it, rub it in. I mean, come on. We've moved on from chocolate bars in discussions. Perhaps I'm going to get some skincare tips down there. So as Hartman holds up his Mars bar,
duo.
Well done, sir. Well done. But he's calmness personified, isn't he?
Very relaxed. Very relaxed. Yeah.
You know, he knew he was going to get some questions on Tell and his performance, and you know, he never got too excitable either way. And he's right. You know, he was getting into good positions. He had a young lad get his 5 minutes tonight, and he was very calm about him and the whole thing of 16-year-olds coming into the side. But then that has happened throughout the years. You know, Stevie Perryman was sort of only 17 back in 69, 70 when he made his debut. It was 69 actually. I was 6 days old when he made when he made his debut, and he was 17. So there has always been lads of that sort of age coming through and going to grab their place in teams. But he was calm about that. I just like him, you know. He saw what we saw in the game. First half, second half, and so he sees what you see, and he's just very, very calm with it. I do really, really like him. He's a fine manager. He's a good man manager. Good man manager.
Yeah.
He gets right all the circus around the football as well as the football, because you have to be such a politician and a statesman now, and everything that you say gets analysed to the umpteenth degree, you know, and he just finds the right words in the right tone every time. I really like him.
Agree. Look, I know he's not going to be maybe his box office is what Andrew will be in the pressers, but there's a real calmness and composure about the way he does deliver what he says. And as you can see, he's always thinking, isn't he? He's always thinking. He's a massive, massive thinker. And that, I think, does transcend itself on the pitch. And no, I think, again, as many have said, it's really hard to dislike this man. Yeah, it really, really is hard. I think everyone wants to see him succeed. Hopefully he can, the Spurs show. We're also joined by actor Darren Hart, and we're joined by the wonderful Miles over at Spurs Kings. Right, guys, look, we're going to need your help very quickly before we get into the second half here. It is awards time on Last Word on Spurs. It's the time where you dig very deep, and you help Last Word on Spurs bring home another trophy if you can for us. We are finalists for the 4th year in a row at the Football Contents Awards of 2025. You can help us bring a trophy back with us to Tottenham in general. We are nominated for Best Podcast in the Premier League and Best in Socials Creators. You can, for those that watch the show on YouTube, you can hit the QR code and you can vote for Last Word on Spurs in those 2 respective categories. And for those that are listening back on audio, there's a link in our description where you can follow that and you can vote for us in both Best Podcast in Premier League and Best in Social Creators. It is really important that I say this, that I have to say this, that over the last 8 years, without all of your amazing, overwhelming support, we would not be in this position to even be nominated. So the fact of being nominated is a massive thing. To win it, of course, that would be amazing. Like I say, we've reached silver in the last couple of seasons. As Dow is showing you on the screen what you need to do to vote. Vote away, please. Vote away. Help us bring another trophy home. Like I say, it just goes into all the hard work that happens in the background here, the wonderful guests that come on the show, the amount of time the audience, I know, again, we always make this laugh and joke, but we appreciate the amount of time you guys give up as well to listen and watch us. We are also going to be humbled by all your amazing support. So thank you ever so much for the last 8 years. Hopefully there's 8 years more to come. Although by then, I think I might be pushing Crackers around, or Crackers might be pushing me around, if you know about what's happening in my fish tank at the moment. Go on, Crackers.
Is there a category for best in having one too many beers and going missing in Liverpool for 2 hours at an award ceremony?
Yeah, we'll see what we can do if we can find that.
I'm picking up gold for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. The only guy that goes missing in an Anfield at half 10 at night and trying to find every Portaloo to see where he's gone. Honestly, right. We're gonna bring in the second half of last one on Spurs. Marlon very kindly there touched upon the lineup for us, which of course Thomas Frank did make a number of different changes to his Tottenham team. So in terms of how Spurs lined up, it was a strong side despite making 7 changes to obviously face League One side Doncaster Rovers. Still no Rando Kolomowani and Ben Davies, who remain out with respectively a dead leg and a twisted knee. Dominic Solanke, coach of the Kai, now back in training, but despite being back in training, still not ready for this one. Anton Kaninski got his start. He was between the sticks. Xavi Simons, Jed Spence, Brennan Johnson, Matisse Tell, all named obviously as well in that lineup. So a great opportunity for them to shine. No Christian Romero in the squad. Archie Gray playing in midfield, not defence, which is an interesting one there. Like I said, I think we all were really feeling this was going to be Archie's year this year to play in that central midfield role, given that role as that number 8. 16-year-olds Junai Byfield, Luca Williams-Barnett, as well as 17-year-old winger Tynan Thompson had been training with the first team. They were on the bench with fellow academy product Dane Scarlett, who was looking for his first minutes of the season. No Pat Matassar in the squad, despite the Senegalese not playing at the weekend against Brighton. And if you did hear Thomas Frank there in that presser, did say, as a precaution, just managing minutes wasn't available for this one. So Tottenham's team read Kinski, Porro, Danzo, Palhinha, Spence, Betsacore, Gray, Xavi, Johnson, Tell, Odebear, with a bench of Austin, Richarlison, Udogie, Bergvall, Van der Ven, Scarlett, Thompson, Byfield, Williams, Barnett. I know we've already covered the elements of the team, but look, let's go straight to it. Let's talk about Matisse Tell, right? I mean, Dal, I'm going to come to you. 3 minutes in, completely misses the ball as it's fired into the 6-yard box. Many would say, look, he has to score there, Matisse Tell. Just where are we, Dal? Because you was on here, I think, in the build-up to the Super League final, Super Cup final, and you said a really important point on here. You said to the Spurs community, look, it's really important we don't absolutely go in on this guy because he's a £40 million player. He obviously didn't select that price tag, but look, he could actually have had a hat-trick on the night, but his confidence now looks at an all-time low right now. Where are we in the Matisse Tell project at Tottenham?
It's a tough one for him because I think even the guy who posed the question to Thomas Frank said he just needs to score one off his bum, off his elbow, and he needed to come off any part of his body and be a legitimate goal and go in just to take the pressure off him. He's in the right positions. That's the thing to look at. I always say of a striker, if he's not getting in the right places, then I'm more concerned. But he's doing all the right things. His movement's right. He's taking shots. It will come for him. And I think ultimately, we've got a squad that takes the pressure off him because we should have Solanke up there. We should have other players scoring goals. So we're not as fans relying on him to score all the goals. But mentally, it's still going to affect him because every time Spurs win and he's not on the score sheet, he's going to go, what am I doing? How do I validate myself? How do I justify my place in the team, in the squad? It is pressure. And I think that as much as we're watching, getting annoyed and frustrated, and I saw in the chat and I've had it on my phone, people like, he's rubbish, he's wasted, he's a waste of money, he's this, he's that, and the other, all negatives. Right now, he's our player. We can't get rid of him. He's not going anywhere. He's ours. So while he's here, let's look after him as much as we can because we just spoke about how intense our schedule will be and Frank's rotation. As we rotate, he will be needed. And when he's needed, we need to give him that support. So he feels that he hasn't got added pressure of all of us on his back and shoulders. He's got our support. Because when he scores, he's going to be happier than all of us. It's going to absolutely raise him. And let's hope that it happens soon because he needs it. Don't get it twisted. He's not playing his best right now, but he's trying. He's in the right places, and I believe it will come for him.
I know we had about 15, 20 questions that came into us on our X account after the game, and they were all really linked to Matisse Tell. Miles, coming over to you. Look, tough night for him. Let's be honest about it. Obviously, he set that shot early on before missing a Johnson low ball that he didn't expect really to reach him, maybe. He had a powerful shot to go around the half-hour mark. He found another chance after that in the, 65, 67th minute. Just didn't take his opportunity. Look, on another night, could have had a hat-trick, but his confidence looks really, really low at the moment. And, and again, as we say here, we're coming up to a big run of games. how much game time do you think he's going to realistically get, given the form that he's in? Will he still be in the team? Will he opt for Richarlison over him? Because obviously there's no Solanke right now. Colomawani, like I say, he's got a dead leg. I mean, how much more game time will Tell get to impress in this coming period for you, Miles?
It just depends on Frank, really, because if you look at the last 2 games, and as Hartman said, at least Tell's there. Charleston's not there. Like, even when he came on, he wasn't, even for that goal that Bergvall scored that was given offside. They're the sort of positions you expect, what's his name, Richarlison to be in. But Tell was in those positions. So I think at this present moment, what we got to look at is, once he gets one, will it change his fortune? It just seems like it's not working for him at the moment in a Spurs shirt, and that's the bit that everyone's probably moaning about. But like I said, the first half, apart from the chance he missed, he played okay. He didn't play badly. But I think what it is, when you see him for the French under 21s, I think he's usually out on the left or the right. I can't remember if he's out on the left or right. I know the Spurs on the other wing, and then they've got Etike up top. So maybe that's the bit at the moment. We just need him to play probably more on the left and give him a run of games out there. And maybe that's when we'll see a different Tell, because at this present moment, we just haven't seen Tell. We keep seeing Tell up front. If we're all being honest, he's not a striker. We can clearly see he's not a striker. But there is a position out on the left right now that needs to be filled. Odegaard has played 2 games. Yes, he was better tonight. But again, you're looking at him going, okay, it's Doncaster, you've put in a performance, but actually when you've played in that position, you've given us nothing. And it felt like tonight he was giving us nothing. So I think, and then Brennan Johnson's going to be used on left, because at the moment, Kudus is going to be on the right. We all know he's going to be on the right. So once Tell is probably going to be pushed over to the left, and we can see him in a run of games, and maybe see him with a Solanke, a Mawani, and a Richarlison when they're back, and Tell gets that left side, and seeing Kudus on the other. Maybe we might see a cohesion up front, and with Xavi Simons in the middle. Maybe that's what we need to see, and maybe we'll start seeing the best of Tell, because what will eventually happen is he'll have to bring himself up to that level. The guy's played at Bayern Munich. He can obviously play at a certain level. It's just at the present moment, him and Tottenham just haven't been a match made in heaven, and that's all it is.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's a lot of comments coming how to say that. I agree with both Artman and you, Miles, on this. I mean, look, Cracks, let's be honest about this, and let's be very, very clear. You know, Tell's not the one that set his price tag, right? Spurs decided to pay the money for him. I look back at this now, Cracks, when we signed him, and just wonder, to some degree, I don't mean some disrespectful way to the player, was it a bit of a panic buy? Because if you remember, I mean, before we signed Matisse Tell, Spurs were in for Colomawani, and such as an H now where Spurs have returned to sign Colomawani. Tell is here, and Tell's been left out of the Champions League squad, the preliminary stage, we've got to say, the first phase of 8 games. He showed tremendous mentality. If you listen to a lot of what he said actually before the recent international break, where he's going to knuckle down, he wants to prove that he's part of Thomas Frank's plans, and I love that attitude from Tell. I think we saw actually last season, his mentality was spot on. You know, there was times obviously where we had those issues with Ange, with the crowd, where he intervened, he got involved, he tried to play peacemaker. There's a great mentality to Tell, which again shouldn't be underestimated. But in terms of in front of goal, his confidence looks on the floor right now, Cracks, doesn't it? It does look on the floor. So how do we go about solving that? Is it giving him more games? Is it taking him out of the team? Because we've got a massive run of games coming up now where, let's be honest about it, we've got no Solanke. Richarlison, you know, bar the Burnley game and the PSG game, he hasn't really looked himself either. You know, we've got a real conundrum, haven't we, in terms of our forwards at the moment, where we're relying on a lot on, like, for example, Brennan Johnson with the goals.
Ricky's 20 years old. He turned 20 in April. 20 years old. He was born 4 days after YouTube started. It's just like, it's nuts. He's 20
There's a stat after
years
we're going to hear tonight. You weren't
old.
expecting that one.
Well, there you go. He's younger than YouTube. It's crazy. I mean, the lad's born in France, went to Germany, now trying to settle in England at 20 years old. Like, I know that I didn't know my arse from my elbow at 20 years old, and there's this lad, you know, moving from one country to another. Kids need time to settle, and sometimes these things happen. But I know what won't help him, and that is the amount of people that seem to be getting on his back. He's snatching at stuff. He snatched at those 2 chances today, but he was there to snatch at them. Okay, look, I know that's also not our problem, and this is big boys football, and if you're not cutting the mustard, you're gone. So there's that balance to be had. But you kind of think that if Richie was pulling up a few more trees at his age and experience, and Solanke wasn't injured, then he might not be thrust into this position that he's found himself thrust into, and could be maybe dipped in a little bit more, but sort of in and out of the team a bit. Look, Bayern Munich saw something with him, and we've seen something with him as well. So there's a player in there. He's in the French under-21 squad as well. And, you know, you're no slouch if you're making that French national team, by the way. So there's a player in there. Does he need to be thrown even further into the lion's den, or does he need to be brought back out a little bit? Well, we don't know him. Thomas Frank and the team will, and they will get right what it is that he actually needs now, whether he needs to kick up the arse or the pat on the back. We don't know, the stick or the carrot. But he's got some balls and some courage from what he was talking about, you know, being left out, and he's going to knuckle down and try even harder. So, you know, he gets one and then he might start flying, and then we're all going to be talking about a good player for us. Let's not forget, a few years ago, I remember a young British player, a young English player coming in, and we were like, oh, my days, you know, this kid's so young, and here he is, he's been thrown in up top, and he had a few games, and he done okay. You know, who's now at Bayern Munich, funnily enough, and we're all sort of saying, will he be coming back? They're kids. Harry Kane was a kid once, and he came in and he looked well out of place, but he just kicked on and it kicked in, and it happened. But all I do know is that getting on his back the way that people are is not really not going to help. We're supposed to be support, you know, and let's see, leave it down to the team of Thomas Frank and the coaches to decide what it is that he needs, and we get behind that. But whilst he pulls a shirt on, he's our player. Like, you see sometimes our own players, and you see some of the comments about him, and you think, mate, you don't play for Arsenal, you know. He's actually one of our players. That's not just Tell, that's quite a few of them. It's unbelievable the amount of stick they get. So at 20 years old, come on, he didn't ask to be bought for 40 million quid either, did he? As you said. So give him some time to develop and see what comes. He might not be good enough. That happens sometimes, and we move on from it. But 40 million quid nowadays is like just average jump change, isn't it, as well, really?
40 million is the new 15 million.
Exactly.
It's such a difficult barometer to that. And I think that's the biggest problem, that a lot of people look at the price, but you know, we didn't spend the money. It's not come out of our pocket, the 40 million. That's what also staggers me a little bit. I just see a guy that is trying really hard. Look, I'm the first one to get onto players' backs where I feel the effort and the application, the desire isn't there. But I'm not seeing that with Tell. I'm not seeing someone that is not giving us everything, or is lacking in effort or commitment. It's purely down to the fact that technically I worry about him. That's one thing, technical ability I worry about him. But number two, I just feel like you said, Cracks, he does need a goal. He needs a goal. However it comes, he needs one. I just don't know where on this point down to finish up on him before we do move on. This is an interesting period for him because, like as Crackers has said there, you've got no Solanke at the moment. He's out injured. No Mawani. He's out injured too at the moment. Richarlison's not in the greatest amount of form. So do you just hope now in these next few games we continue playing him, he finds his way and scores a goal? Is that the hope, really, do you think? Or it's difficult. I just wonder how much the weight of the shirt's affecting him. Because when you see him for France in the 21s, he looks tremendous over there. He looks brilliant.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's an interesting one, because I'm not going to pretend that when Tell was signed, I was over the moon and saying this makes perfect sense. I saw a challenge here. I saw a player that was going to struggle to work out where he fits into this Spurs side. Is he left side? Is he a striker? And I think that being unknown made it a problem. He's young, and right now he is thrust into the spotlight because we need someone, and football is unforgiving. Today was a game where he needed the goal and he didn't get it. So let us hope for us and for him it comes soon. Because if not, we may look back at 40 million that was wasted and it could have been used in that period of time in a better way. But right now, we don't know. And right now, all we can do is hope that it works out. That's all we can do. And hope that he gets a goal at the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Hope he does get a goal at the weekend. Look, we wish Matisse all the best. We'll all be behind him on here. Like I say, we all want to get behind players and hope they do very, very well in a Spurs shirt. One player that is doing very well in a Spurs shirt right now is Palhinha. So much by the fact that he's pulling off overhead kicks. I mean, God, he's... Where are we right now when he's playing centre half? I mean, honestly, unbelievable bit of skill to put Spurs on their way to victory. As Simmons whipped in a corner into the box, which Doncaster's goalkeeper Lawler failed to clear. Really, it was a quite bizarre goalkeeping, you have to be said. Palhinha had enough time as the ball dropped to pull off an acrobatic strike. Will come to you, Miles. Lovely finish from Palhinha, who right now looks like he's having a time of his life in the Spurs shirt. And there's even talk this week they want to accelerate his loan to a permanent deal in January. Can he do anything wrong right now, Palhinha, in a Tottenham shirt?
Well, this is the signing that probably would have kept Ange if he had signed him. We all know we've been asking for a number 6 way before Ange as well. And I remember when Palhinha was linked with us before he went to Bayern, we all wanted him then. So I'm not surprised at all. But the finish was well taken. You could tell as Frank said when he first came in, he just needed to get up to speed, and we're starting to slowly see him get up to speed and seeing the impact he's now having on the squad. But can I just ask a question to everybody? And this goes to every Spurs fan. These goalkeeper mistakes that are happening at home, they come like buses, because usually the goalkeeper goes and has a worldie against us and doesn't give us goals, and now we're getting them 2 in a week. What's going on?
All right, don't take 2 down, for God's sake. Don't let anyone else hear this conversation. Just keep it between us and the 5,500 that are watching. Don't let anyone else hear this.
Mate, I'm used to Tim Krul making how many saves in one go.
I was just about to say, actually, Tim Krul retired this week after a fine career, and it looks like them goalkeeping masterclasses versus us retired with him as well. They went, the masterclasses and the man himself that retired this week. Enjoy your retirement, Mr. Krul. Love you, hate you.
But no, it's that point on Palhinha right now, Dale. Let's talk about it. He's looking like the player we all wanted him to be for Spurs, right? And I think there's that one odd game in there where he didn't play as well. I think we're looking at, of course, at the Bournemouth game. But apart from that, he's been a really good signing for Spurs, hasn't he? He's fitted into a place where, to be fair, like Marlon has said, we've been crying out for that number 6 for so long. But he's fitted like a glove, hasn't he? He's been superb for Spurs at the moment.
100%. As Marlon said, you get a proper 6 in that position, and that's what you get. And that's what the team needed. And then everybody else looks better. You improve everybody when you have the right people in the right places. Your centre-backs look better when they've got a 6 in front of them who makes their work easier. If you're in midfield playing alongside him, you look better because he's giving you the ball. He's allowing you space to be creative because he's doing that. It works. And that's the beauty of signing correct players. This is a prime example for Spurs when we look at transfers, getting it right. You bought someone who is exactly the right fit for their position. And that's what we have there. And I'm really happy. I'm in the same bag as Marlon when he said about when he was at Fulham, Spurs wanted him then. I wanted him then as well. I was like, please. Then he went Bayern Munich. I was like, how did we miss that one again? And now he's here. Of course, they're going to look to accelerate that and make that permanent because he's showing that he's a leader and that he can do everything we need him to do and more. And also, it looks like he's having a great time at Tottenham, which for me is also part of these deals. I want players who want to be here, and he looks like he really wants to be here.
Yeah, another also key aspect to him, Cracks, just to bring you back in on him, is quite interestingly, you could see he's also a real leader, not just on the pitch, but off it as well. And the help that he'll give, and we said in a couple of the other shows as well, the likes of the Archie Grays, the Bergvals, the Sarr, how important would it be, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch, that leadership you can offer those guys, the guidance you can offer them as well? How much is that going to massively benefit them, Cracks, from that perspective as well?
Very, very much so. And I think he also represent that sea change of who and what we're buying in windows, because it does seem that like Daniel's hand was off the wheel in that last transfer window before he actually went. And you know that we was always, it's time for everybody to boo and throw rotten fruit at your screens. Everybody, he's on now. Yeah, Daniel. Look, yeah, boo.
Sorry, Dal, we're going early. We're going early, Dal. Sorry.
Dal, now he's retired from football. I bet he's doing panto this year, isn't he? Oh, you know, he isn't.
he's been down in the makeup lounge. What are you talking about?
Look at that in the comment. Even though he's out, people are still going, leave it out. It's like Pavlov's dog, isn't it? As soon as you see him, leave it out. You've got to type it. But back to Palhinha. I mean, he represents that's what you could see as a bit of a sea change in our policy for buying. He's that bit older, that bit wiser, but players now, it used to be like with first 11s, it's squads. Players now, when they get to 30, 31, 32, and you used to think, oh, okay, that's it. Not anymore. Not with sports science and diet and the way these players live and live right. You're looking at players now getting to sort of 36, 37, 38 and still being able to cut the mustard at the very highest level. So he's going to be a great asset on the pitch as he is, and off the pitch as well, for these younger players to be alongside, and you know, he can impart some of his wisdom and help those along. It's exactly what you need. Like anything, your elders pass down to your youngers, and you learn from them. And he's been tremendous for us, absolutely tremendous. Because somebody asked in the comments if Højbjerg was the dustman, what's Palhinha? And I think I think he's a bit more like one of those recycled technician, like refuse technician, like a dustman, but just with a little bit more of a technical savvy. You know, he's the dustman, but he separates the plastics and the metals from just the waste that goes to landfill, isn't he? Just that little bit more refinement.
No one will forget this. You know, when you say this now, people remember this now for life. When you say this, like when you said Højbjerg is a dustman, everyone remembers that, and it sticks with them forever now. Just know that, right? Just know that.
Okay, all right, yeah, he's the dustman with a very, very clean hive eye on. He's just got that recycle man going on, hasn't he? Just a little bit more technically savvy.
Listen, and you've got to remember he's playing a centre half tonight. You know, again, that's a player that you can see there, the ability to drop from number 6 to centre half. Really, really talented player. And to be fair, Spurs, they made it 2-0 pretty much instantly after that. Again, you know, good move from Spurs. And this is a credit to Højbjerg. A little mazy run down the left-hand side, which created this goal. Fizzed in, and it was an own goal. But again, all the hard work really done again from Højbjerg, created it, tricked the fullback, couple little step overs, left foot cross, deflected his own goal by McGrath. And, you know, Miles, interestingly on Højbjerg, you know, this is the player that we did feel for him. This was a really important game for him because Højbjerg is one of those players that I think we can all see there's potentially something there, but he is a player as well at the same time that does look incredibly raw. You know, he came off after an hour, following a quiet start to the second half. Is the key for him to try and be as consistent in first half showings along with second half? So he had quite a good first half, but second half did dip off, Miles.
I think the team kind of dipped off, so it weren't just him.
That's fair. I mean, they did.
And I think that, but I think the problem that he's got is that he's not got the confidence in the Premier League as he done tonight. He saw it as a League One opposition, and he saw himself as I'm better than this. But when he comes up to the Premier League, he's kind of looking at the right back and going, I'm not sure. He's hesitating. He's not, you know, because even for France, he's a bit more confident. So I look at it and go, with Højbjerg, yes, he's raw. There's something there, but maybe again, was he another? I know they went with data, but was it the correct data they were reading when they came across it? And was he going to fit in with Solanke, Richarlison, and the team they were building at the time? Again, he's another one like Tel. We'll have to wait and see. But the problem that Tel and Højbjerg have got is that, yes, Brennan Johnson is not the best left winger in the world. However, Brennan Johnson puts it in the back of the net. So if you're not, if Brennan Johnson's putting it in the back of the net, the other two have got to be doing something else, and they have to. If they're not getting the assist, then you're looking at going, okay, but then you're not actually contributing to the team. You're doing nothing, and that's the problem that both of them are going to have, because with BJ, he's always scoring goals, and even tonight he has scored a goal, and there were a lot of people criticizing his performance, but he's done what he does best, scored. So it's going to be difficult for all three of them, because they can make that left wing their position. But at this present moment, if you were going to ask me who would I play, it would have to be Brennan Johnson, because not the fact he's good in the system, but he has scored twice in playing left. So
he's our top goal scorer, isn't he? Again,
he's our top goal scorer. And you know what? I'm even looking at it going, is there a way that we can fit Brennan Johnson on the right and move Kudos and see how that works? Because I know it didn't work at West Ham, but maybe it will work in the Spurs shirt. It may be something we might have to try, and then maybe we'll have our balance right. But look, Odebear, he's just got to do a little bit more, and he's got to find some confidence, and he's got to bring that bit, the bit for the second goal, he needs to bring to the Premier League. And once he does that, fans will get off his back, including me.
Yeah, listen, I think we all want to see these players develop and progress at a quick nature. One player that I think did have a fairly good game coming out of you, Dale, was Archie Gray. There's a lot of people excited to see Archie in a Spurs shirt and what he can bring. I think something we forget. This is a young kid, right? I think a lot of people last season were hoping he was going to play more games, and when he did play, I think there was a general feeling that he wasn't being played in his correct position. Frank, to be fair, look, he studied him a lot at Brentford, won through at Brentford, has come to Tottenham, identified, no, he's not a centre-half, he's a number 6, played number 6. And the biggest one I can give to him really was that there was a lot of great runs really off the ball he was making. So even if he didn't receive the pass, he creates a lot of space for his teammates, which I think, let's be honest about it, Dow, that can't be underestimated, right?
Absolutely. He is a very, very intelligent young football player who I believe is going to have a very bright future at Tottenham. I think there's a lot of elements around him. Having Palhinha there, who is going to elevate his game, having players like Sarr, Bergveld playing very well right now is going to enhance his game. Having a player like Xavi Simons come in now, who moves the ball well, I feel that with the brain that he has, he's a footballer. You can see it, Archie Gray, and he thinks about the game. That's why a player like him can play at the back and play in different positions, because it's up here. He played the game very well up there. And I think with the confidence that he will get with these guys around, they're going to challenge him. I don't think he's going to get as many games as he may need to develop as quickly as he would like to develop. But I think you've got a player in Archie Gray that I think he very much is the future for Tottenham. And I think he's a player that you definitely want to hold on to. And I think it'll be interesting, just to jump on what Marlon was saying about Brennan Johnson, I think it'll be interesting to see Johnson on the left, Kudus on the right, with Simons in the 10, and to see how that works. Because I feel with a natural ball player in the middle who's looking for the runner, Brennan Johnson is always your runner. That's the beautiful thing about Johnson. He's always in the right place to score that goal. And I think, there's so many elements for Frank to play with. I'm excited with the pieces we have. We've got some really excited pieces of the puzzle, and it's what combinations work. It's going to be fun to see.
It is going to be fun to see. Just quick word on him, Miles, Archie Gray, because, I mean, look, I know last season, many Miles...
I'm not having it. The reason why I'm not having it is because tonight...
Just massively explain, what are you not having? What are you not having?
He's not... Look, at the end of the day, we have to look at it like this. He's played well tonight, but he's played well against a Doncaster side, and he's been put in the number 8 position. But every time he's played in the big games or Premier League games, he hasn't played very well, and he's always
is that his fault? I mean,
but he's always been the scapegoat to go in other positions. There's going to come a point in his development where he needs to literally pick a position. Now we've got a new one for him tonight, and he's meant to be a number 6.
I suppose on that point, though, the case is that been down to him, or has that been down to the predecessor that's put him in that position? Because I think we all could probably see he was not a centre half.
Yeah, but I know that, and he was put there because he was the only person who could play it due to injuries.
Yes.
And then, what was it, last week or the week before? He was left out of the squad completely.
Yeah,
and we had injuries, and and that's the problem we've got at the moment.
But is that the depth of the squad, though, Miles? That is good. The squad is.
This is the depth of the squad, but that's how many players are in front of him. When is he going to... Basically, you have to look at it and go, when is he going to be able to get this game time? And he needs to be able to settle in one position, because
that's fair.
Bergveld's not playing... Bergveld's only playing in 2 positions. Bergveld's not being moved about. We've seen Archie Gray play right back, left back, centre back, number 6, number 8. that's a massive problem when you're trying to become a footballer and you're trying to be an expert in one position. You can't be messing about going in all different directions because you're not going to get settled. And then what's always going to happen is when these players get fit that play in your position, you're going to get taken out. And that's exactly what's happening to Archie Gray. I think it was a mistake. I don't think we should. I think we panic bought him because Brentford were in and we were kind of like, oh crap, we've got no one else at the time. But I haven't seen enough of Gray to go and warrant that he's going to be a great player in the future. I wouldn't be surprised if Gray goes down the same route as Skip and Winks and we see him in the Championship. That's just me. I can't see what anyone else is seeing. I can't, and I'm not going. I've said he's played well tonight, but it was a League One Doncaster, and that I have to take that in consideration. Because when he played against Burnley, when Bergvall and Sarr were playing well, we all said Archie Gray went completely missing. And yes, he can learn off Palhinha, but Archie Gray's never going to. I don't think Archie Gray's ever going to have the physicality of Palhinha because he's just not that sort of player. You can tell he's good with his feet, the ball at his feet. I've always said this. Yeah, but I don't think at the present moment I don't think Tottenham was the right club for Archie Gray to develop, and I still think it now. I think he needs to go somewhere on loan where he's going to be playing week in, week out. Because you've got to remember, this was a guy that we said was a defensive midfielder, played one good game against Chelsea, but played right back for the majority of the time when we signed him at Leeds. So, what is his correct position?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting one, Cracks, isn't it? Just on him very quickly. I know we're going to just quickly squeeze in our final break on the show, and then we're going to wrap up. But the thing is, I thought it was a pretty decent display. You could argue he looks more and more now like maybe more of a number 8 than maybe a number 6. So it's going to be interesting to see how this does develop. I mean, look, I do hear Marlon's concerns about the fact that a couple of weeks ago he's not even getting in the squad. But at the same time, I think also last season, as we said, was pretty dysfunctional, right? So it's very hard to judge him really at all last season for me. I'm looking at a lot of these players and I'm giving them a lot of them clean slates really in terms of what they're going to do this season.
But on that, Ricky, quickly before Crackers comes in, you're saying that, but Bergvall played in that same dysfunctional system last year, and he has shown us last year and this year how much of a good player he's developed already, and he's developing into that player. Archie Gray's not shown any of us that. That's
a fair point. That's a fair point. But I'd also on last season, I look at someone like Sarr, for example. Sarr to me didn't have a great season last season. Already, I've seen in the last 6 or 7 games how much Frank has really brought him on. I think it's all fair points. No one's saying. I mean, look, no one can say we're right or wrong at this stage. It's such early days. I mean, where are you, Cracks, in terms of Gray's development?
Well, Thomas Frank said in that presser that he does see him more in the midfield role than where he was being bounced around here, there and everywhere last season. Marlon's right, tonight it was Doncaster, so he should be looking like he can boss it. I think he just needs to find his position, settle in that, and then see how he plays in a run of games in that position. And if he doesn't quite come up to scratch, then maybe a loan out and then see how he develops from now. But I think potentially there's a decent player in Archie Gray. Maybe not up to that Bergvall standard, but then I also do think that every team does need a bit of functionality as well in there. So I don't know. It's very 50-50 if he kicks on and develops. I think the thing of Bergvall really coming in and really getting hold of the game and really developing probably doesn't help his cause, because it probably takes away a little bit and makes it look even worse for him. But there's definitely a player in there. It's another one. Time will tell. You just need that settled management for more than just a couple of seasons and some coaches, and to see how he goes. But if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least give him a chance to try and make one position his own, rather than this jack of all trades that he has been thus far through last season.
It's going to be interesting, because I think Marlon makes an important point there. Going to be very intriguing. We've got a huge amount of games coming up in terms of the run that we're on now. Be fascinating to see how much game time Gray gets in these next few weeks, and if he is able to develop into one position. Frank has made it clear, as you said there, Cracks in the post-match. He sees him more as a midfielder. Being fascinating to see how that is going to work because Sarr's had a really good season so far. Bergvall is developing and improving. And maybe Marlon is right. Maybe he will need to go out on load to get game time because the last thing we want really is to stunt the development of someone that you can clearly see has got talent there, but it's where we're going to be able to give that talent enough time to develop and flourish. So we will see. But look, 2-0 Spurs really going into, there's actually, I've got to just very quickly say, a great save in there from Anton Kinski at 2-0. Because he prevented Bailey from scoring on the volley. Now, the Doncaster fans celebrated because I actually thought it was in. But it was an absolutely remarkable save from Kinski. To be fair, hadn't had to do much really up until that point. I think that's where, just quickly down on this, we're going to squeeze in this next break very quickly, but that's where you know the true test of a goalkeeper, right? When they're not in the action and then suddenly they're called in. And what a great save that was from Kinski, Dow.
I totally agree. It's what you want from your goalkeeper. He's having a quiet night. He's not doing much. And suddenly he pulls it out the bag and makes a great save. I think he's another prospect. He's another person I look at and go, he could be a keeper that we could hold on to for a long time. And he could be a number one at some point and really challenge. So, yeah, he did his job. And as Marlon highlighted earlier, everybody did their job. First half, everyone did their job. And hats off to Kinski for doing it. And he hasn't had much game time. Solid. Yeah. I'm gonna put my neck right on the line, though. I reckon Archie Gray's going to be a player. Like my earrings, I reckon he's going to be a player. I'm backing him.
Just interestingly, do we see just on this point, Vicario, Kinski, is that going to become a battle at some point? Maybe just a quick yes or no on that. Yeah. I mean, you reckon it might be? Let's go, Miles. Yes or no? Is that be an interesting battle at some point? You think between those two?
I said it will be eventually. I think Vicario, he's getting old anyway. And Kinski was always brought in to be number one at some point. So yeah, it will eventually happen.
What does the Goalkeepers Union think? Kratz, quickly bring you in from the Goalkeepers Union. Is that going to be intriguing when I see that plays out?
Nothing keeps a goalkeeper, a number one goalkeeper, on their toes like the next one underneath them pulling up trees. So like any other position on the pitch, if you've got somebody holding the flame to your soles of your feet for your position, you're going to be playing out of your skin. So it's good. It's healthy competition. That's exactly what you want. And he looked good with that save tonight. He didn't have much to do. Made a crucial save that needed to. The only problem I have with Kinski this evening is that blue kit he wore. It gives me vibes of that horrid blue kit from last season. It's too much like it with them pinstripes. Get rid of it, please. It's just, I'd never want to see that kit again. I hate it.
There you go. Spurs Social. We know you're listening and watching. There's a grant request there from Crackers. Listen in, take note. Look, we're going to go for our next break of the show for our listeners and audio. We said we have got a crazy amount of games coming in a quick period. So for those that are interested, this is how you can see Spurs in style at home. There you go. For those that are interested, that is Go Privilege. You can experience Tottenham in style, premium hospitality, and unforgettable match day moments. You can get 10% off Spurs versus Copenhagen, of course, in the Champions League with that code LWOSUCL. That's code LWOSUCL for 10% off Spurs versus Copenhagen. Premium hospitality, and you can, of course, experience unforgettable match day moments in style. That offer ends on the 9th of October, 2025. And also a quick reminder for you out there, we are still delighted to be sponsored by NordVPN. Of course, Nord can get you around all different things, these kind of times, these different days and ages and worlds where we are right now. So you can take full advantage of that with our discount code on nordvpn.com/LWOS. That gives you 4 extra months of free on a 2-year plan. And just one final reminder for you guys out there, we are delighted once again to be back in the finals, of course, of the Football Content Awards for 2025. You can help us bring home another trophy by hitting that QR code for the watching audience on YouTube. For our listeners that are on audio, all those details are in our episode description. So Spurs, look, they went into half-time fairly comfortable, a degree of being quite happy from what we've seen. And to be fair, I mean, second half, probably like the second half of this podcast, didn't really get going. I mean, it was a very quiet second half. We were kind of waiting for Thomas Frank's side to kind of get back up.
That's nice, isn't it, boys? We stay up all hours of the night and then get absolutely thrown under the bus. Thomas, yeah, see, that's
Bye,
it.
Rick.
Hartman's gone, yeah, bye, Rick. See you later. That's it. We're all going on strike.
Who said the second half can't be fun? We can still make it fun. I mean, I can try and dress it up. I can try and make it, beautiful and amazing out there. I just didn't want to lie to anyone to try and dress up the second half. But we can
You
still
could have
make it fun.
Thomas Franked it and said, the boys tried their best. I appreciate it was late and, just find the right words.
Then I thought you were going to say to me, Cracks, you can't kid a kidder, Rick. Or you're trying to dress up his hand as a great second half. You can't kid a kidder. Didn't really get going. Didn't really get going. Richarlison, Bergvall, they replaced Odegaard and Xavi. Damien Jai got a big cheer as he got subbed off. But very little really happened in that second half. Bar, of course, Brennan Johnson scoring again. Again, it's almost becoming now that thing with Brennan Johnson that he's one of those players that you always now can rely on to get you a goal. But I know for many out there, he's that enigma where he doesn't really offer you much during a game. I mean, Cracks, I'm sorry to do this here, only because of, bless you, it's for your age. That's a good way of going it after I've just insulted him. Can you think of any player like Brennan Johnson in your lifetime as a Spurs fan that is so maybe ineffective during game in terms of what he offers bar scoring goals? It's crazy saying that because scoring goals is the hardest thing to do in football. He makes it look easy, but offers very little away from that. Does it matter though if he's scoring goals, Cracks? He's the top goal scorer.
And there you go. And if he pops up and gets you a 1-0 win in a cup final, that's right, he did. And can
I just say, I know he almost had 3 assists. It's about obviously in this game, he almost did have 3 assists. To be fair to him, he did. He laid it on the plate, 3 times. He could have got away with 3 assists. Credit to him for that, of course.
Yeah. It's we'd like to see more from his all-round game, but if you're scoring goals and winning games and making a difference like that, then he's doing something right, isn't he? So. I think it's only really Jimmy Greaves. It's like they used to say, I'm not comparing him, of course, to Jimmy Greaves, but that's somebody else. They used to say he done nothing today but score 2 goals. He done nothing else in a game. It was, again, not comparing him to Lionel Messi, but Lionel Messi, 98% of the game, he's walking when he was in his pomp. His stats would be just to walk around. And I saw him for Barcelona versus Espanyol, Espanyol's ground. And he literally just strolled around, done nothing, but just scored goals. So, look, these aren't comparisons to Greaves or Messi. But if you're scoring goals, the whole crux and thrust of a game of football, then you get in the side, don't you? Surely. So if you're doing that, that is doing something. Yeah. If he's not doing other things, okay. If others are doing that and he's getting goals, it's working, isn't it?
Yeah. It's interesting because, again, for example, this game here, Miles, he could have actually had, 3 to 4 assists, and it probably needs to be the person that was actually on the end of the crosses rather than on the crossing the ball to score. So, I mean, it just shows he's going to be vital for us, Johnson, in these coming weeks because, as we said at the moment, Tell's confidence is at an all-time low. Richarlison's form hasn't been great. Solanke, obviously, as well, out injured. He's going to be really important in these run of games, bearing in mind he's the top goal scorer. So would you imagine he will be back in Thomas Frank's starting 11? Because it hasn't always been the case this season. I wonder if you're surprised by the fact how much he hasn't been in Frank's first starting 11 so far.
I think because he wanted... I think the Bournemouth game kind of killed him a little bit because obviously that was a game we needed a goal and he wasn't great in that. I know we wasn't great as a team, but it felt like we had 10 players on the pitch. But what the problem we've got is that like tonight, there was like you said, he's 3 assists that he could have had. He was just offside for Bergval's goal that was off. You know, and you look at the positions he gets into some vital positions, and I think what will happen, what we'll see now, I think Tel and Odeberg have had their chance, and I think we'll get into Saturday, against Wolves, and I think he'll be starting on the left. I think we'll see that now. I think because you can see Johnson's makeup for the last couple of weeks as well. He's not been happy that he's been dropped.
No,
because actually, when you look at it on the big picture, there's no reason why he should have been. But yet, he's come out with another goal tonight, and that's all he can do. All he can do is score goals, and if that's what he's going to do in this team, he's got to play. Unfortunately, and I know a lot of people won't agree with that, but he's got to play. And if we can just get him, if we can get Richarlison wanting to beat the first man and get to the balls when they are crossing, because that's the bit Richarlison's not very good at. He's not good at anticipating them. Then actually that helps Kudus and it helps Brennan when they are, and it means that them two are not left to just kind of do all the work, and then Richarlison kicks it in last minute. But we'll see how it goes. I trust Frank in what he's going to do. Like even the stuff I don't agree with, he's always fixed it next time. And I just think at the present moment, I think he will see after these last run of games that Johnson's quite important to the starting lineup at this present moment.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he didn't really offer much for Richarlison. He could have scored from one of the Johnson crosses, and we made that point on him, Brennan, that, on this point, coming over to you, Dow, on another day, he gets a goal and walks away with 3 assists. So it just shows you how football is, right? And just how important Brennan is going to be to this team, certainly in these next kind of 5-6 games. Would you imagine, I asked Marlon that same question, do you think Dowie will end up starting a lot of these games coming up now? Because again, like we say, no Tel, but I would say no Tel, but Tel not on the greatest form at the moment. No Solanke at present. Richarlison out of form. Is Brennan going to come in and be that man that's going to help Thomas Frank? Because like we keep saying, top scorer at the moment, confidence must be quite high.
Yeah, he is. He is going to come in. He does everything you ask him to do, which is get the ball in the back of the net. He beat his man a few more times today. There may be the chance that we may see him play as the man up top and to keep Telwa Odebert on the left and just to give it a try, because one thing that Johnson has is a natural goal scorer's ability. He is a goal scorer, and maybe him being up top, he gets himself in the right place. He reads the game very well up there, and it may give Frank another option. So we may see that experiment over the next coming weeks. But Johnson will definitely be a part of the team, because as much as we would debate about how good Johnson is and what he brings to a team, what he brings to Tottenham is goals. That is it. We can't diminish everything else or worry about other things. Let's celebrate the fact that when this boy plays, Johnson again, ole, ole. That's what happens. And you have to be grateful for it.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, totally agree on that point. Right, let's close on a really lovely moment. Lovely moment to end on. Luke Williams-Barnett, 16 years old, Kratz, coming over to you, became Spurs' 900th player to take to the pitch, and hopefully plenty more to come. We all love a youngster being given an opportunity. I know many might have thought or wanted to have more minutes, but low moment for that kid. He'll never forget it, Cracks, right? Making his appearance for Spurs, 900th legacy number given to him.
Yeah, and exactly what you do with youngsters like that. You bring them on, you have them around the squad. There was some other youngsters on the bench. You have them training with the first team, and you start to earn your stripes that way. He's come on. He got 6 or 7 minutes. Didn't look out of place. He looked mature, looked right, lots of energy. It's exactly what you want to see. And if he comes through and makes a good fist of it and gets a regular start and becomes a good asset to the team coming up through the ranks, of course, that's what you want. You always want one of your own to come through the ranks rather than buy in. Fantastic. Really, really pleased for him. Really pleased. Imagine our proud parents and family must have been to have seen that tonight. And absolutely brilliant. It's exactly what you want to see. Another 2-3 come through like that and go on and get themselves regular places in the squad and the starting 11. There's that old saying again. Brilliant. Well done. Yeah.
Spot on. Totally agree on that point. And Miles, bringing you on the kid, before this, obviously in the build up to it, he had 6 goals and 4 assists in 6 under 21 games so far this season. But the confidence that will give this kid, right, when he goes back into that camp, it's going to be absolutely massive, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what these nights are for. And this is why I kind of like this competition. A lot of people say, they need to probably get rid of this competition because it causes too many games. But actually, over the years, we've seen a lot of young players get their debuts in this competition, and we're able to see them and what it's going to be like in a first team environment. So I couldn't be more pleased for him, and hopefully this will progress him onto bigger things in a Spurs shirt, hopefully in later years. Like, I'm not expecting something in the next 2 years, but maybe 3 or 4. And he is legacy number 900 now, so it could be something that we're going forward could return into a good little thing for Spurs marketing team.
I tell you, just close on this point, Dal. I mean, look, we all love players coming through, like one of our own. Just close us on that, how important it is to see players like the guys have touched upon there, given an opportunity. Young kid, that's going to mean the world to him, right? He's going to go home tonight and he'll be seeing himself being spoken about on Last Word on Spurs and thinking, God, I've made it now. I'm on the podcast.
He's buzzing. He goes to college. His friends are all talking about him. He'll get a little more kudos with people around him. Like it also does something that we also need to highlight. The young fans in the stadium that dream about playing at Tottenham. They watch someone and go, he's like me. Like I could be him. And yes, Harry Kane was one, and look at where he is now. But you look at someone else and it's closer. You go, oh my God, I could see him on Tottenham High Road. I could see him in the area. He plays locally. He's part of Tottenham. And it makes the parents who brought their young ones today, because obviously a lot of parents were going to the game today because obviously it was a little bit cheaper. You go, son, that could be you. My daughter, that could be you. Your nephew, that could be you. Your niece. And I think that's the magic of when the academy players come through. And I wish him all the best. And I hope when he goes back into the camp, the rest of the team are going, I want to be next. I want to be the next one to get my number and to make my debut.
Love that. Guys, well, Spurs are through. Newcastle next. Busy period to come. Premier League, Champions League, Carabao Cup. Team, are we ready for the next set of fixtures? Have I got to book us a bit earlier? Have I got to turn us up? Have I got to turn up on time? Crackers?
Yeah, just turning up on time might be a good start, Rick.
What do you mean? He turned up on time? Did we just sit around?
I'm on the Spanish islands and on the same time zone as you. I think I need to move to the peninsula, get an hour ahead, and then I might be able to start on time.
On that point, Cracks, tell us, were you starting on time? Where can people find you starting on time for some Legends Nights? Where can they find you? What's coming up in the diary? Tell us.
I'm at Mr. Cracknell on the socials. Yeah, a few coming up now. Teddy Sheringham at Dartford Friday week. Yeah, looking forward to that. Couple of nights with Glenn Hoddle, one out in Derry. So yeah, looking forward to that. And with Echo 61 doing a dinner with him over in Surrey. Got a night with Martin Chivers at the end of November down in South Wales, if you're down there. And then coming up, Christmas with Razor Ruddock again in Surrey with Echo 61. That's always a bit of an experience. So yeah,
that's a good one.
I like to come home and climb under my duvet for a couple of days of working after working with Razor. Yeah, but
that's not a one night gig, Cracks, is it? That's a 3-night gig in that one.
Oh my days, yeah. He's a good lad. He's brilliant to work with, and he's also good fun to have a couple of scoops with pre or post doing a night as well. Really good bloke.
Love that. Superb. And Dal, Talking Tottenham. When's the next episode? Can you tell us when we might be hearing or seeing? Because the partner in crime, he's away at the moment, isn't he? So
my partner in crime's on a film set. However, I've just remembered we do have one still in. So we've got one to drop very, very soon.
There you go.
We have one to come. So yeah, hopefully by the end of the week, you'll get another episode.
Love that. On YouTube, Dal, where can one find it? Tell us where you can find it.
YouTube, Talking Tottenham. You can see TT Tottenham on Twitter or go into YouTube, Talking Tottenham, and that's where you find me and Mr. Ricky Norwood doing a bit of madness. And like I say, we're just bringing more love into the building,
We need that. We always need love on this show. Dal, thank you so much. We're going to see you back for more fun and games.
Can't wait. Always a pleasure.
Oh, I tell you, more to come. A lot more fixtures to come. Get those diaries ready, guys, for all of us. It could be a busy Christmas. I can turn up on time. Miles, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Spurs Kings TV. I mean, they pretty much go every night of the week. When the kids wake up, that's when they start, and it Miles pretty much.
Yeah, not
2 a.m.
Ash.
It's the 2 a.m. graveyard shift for Ash. Bless him. Always running on. We love him over there.
Yeah, I tag him in now. I do the early part, and then you tag him in to do later. But yeah, Spurs Kings TV, where you'll find us doing our thing at the moment. But yeah, cheers, Rick, as always.
Pleasure, mate. That is the show you need to go to for all those late night mums or dads that their kids are waking up thinking, I need my Tottenham fix. 2 a.m. Spurs Kings TV are always rolling. Make sure you go and check them out. The hardest working people past midnight, I tell you for sure. It's a shame that some people can't bloody turn up on time. Anyway, apart from that, I want to say a massive thank you to the returning, the refreshed, the wonderful, ready to go, raring Richard Cracknell back in the building. We'll be dropping a lot of his Legends nights on our description. If you want to hear them, listen to them, see them for more, you'll get all the details there in terms of where you can find them. A massive thank you to the wonderful Darren Hart, who's going to steer us through this crazy chaotic period in the Spurs fan base in terms of games coming. We've got you covered. Marlon at the Spurs Kings. Guys, there is no banana skin. There was no cup upset. Spurs are through to round 4. We're going to see you very, very soon. From us all, please keep safe, keep well. And as always, come on, you Spurs.